My kids don't need their father in their life. If the quality of your happiness as a single mother is tested on a constant basis, can you make the decision that the children do not really need him around? If the way that he treats you is detrimental to your mental and emotional health, do you have to make that decision? I was married to my children's father, and I had been with him since I was 12 years old. After making the decision to divorce my ex-husband, he was very emotionally and mentally abusive to me.
We gonna spin it back. You know what we do over here. We gonna make sure that we add context to this whole content that they putting out because everybody has become a content creator based off of putting out their own negative personal business and throwing somebody under the bus. But let's just have this conversation. And I always like to give credit to the content creators, so I'm always going to link back down to their profile in the description. Thank you to you guys for sending me this. Also, make sure y'all tap into the Patreon. We just did Sock Club. That link is in the description. Also, Teach Hanley, 40% off your first order, 20% off for life. Make sure y'all get that too. But let's just have some conversations. Number one, she made the decision to divorce her ex-husband. Number two, we don't have any context because we can't get his side of the story. And number three, you never, under any circumstance, keep unless the father is just like a dope fiend or something like that. Under no circumstances do you keep this child from their father because if you've been with this guy since he was 12 years old, then that means that you was with him through marriage, you had children with him. She looks like she's every bit of 30 or above. That means that you've known this guy and he didn't just turn a specific way or anything like that. I'm wondering what contribution into this negative situation that she's making in order to create a toxic environment so that she can then punish the children by removing them from their father's lives. Children need their fathers. These kids need their fathers. And one of the things that y'all got to understand, it is not about you. Keep on talking about how she feel and her mental health. It's about what's best for the kids. When you have children, and this is why I often say that it's much more important and detrimental when you're making a decision to open up your legs and have children with a person than it is to get married with them because you now have other people in this situation that didn't ask to be here. We know for a fact, statistically, data, all of the above, that children need their fathers, preferably in a two-parent household to where you don't choose to divorce the husband, but more importantly, at the very least, in their children's lives, because it is detrimental to the mental health, to the fact that they're going much more likely to be successful, all of that. And you need to figure out how to work it out with your ex-husband that you filed for divorce from. But we're going to spin it back. We're going to get the full context. We're going to break it down. And then we're going to have a deep conversation based off of what she's volunteering to the general public.
My kids don't need their father in their life.
That's a wild statement just to say right off the bat. That I know we're gonna spend the whole block, but that is a crazy statement. That means that you're dealing with a crazy woman by default. For somebody to say, I would never, under any circumstance, and no logical human being is ever going to say, my kids don't need their mother in their life. Absolutely do. 100%. That's crazy.
If the quality of your happiness as a single mother is tested on a constant basis, can you make the
Happiness is
decision that the
happiness is a state of mind. Come on. Stop. All excuses.
children do not really need
I
him
can't do it.
around?
I be stressed
If the way
out.
that he treats you is detrimental to your mental and emotional health, do you have to make that decision? I was married to my children's father, and I had been with him since I was 12 years old.
Mm.
After making the decision to divorce my ex-husband, he was very emotionally and mentally abusive to me. I used to make the excuse all the time,
Emotionally abusive to him. So he not doing what you want to do because he stood in his masculinity. And so as a result, you bucked against it. And so now you're deeming it and terming it as abuse. Bull, nonsense, lies.
like, my kids need their father. They need their father. But at what cost? I used to get so angry, and I used to go into these deep, dark spaces every time I had to deal with him. By the time my kids came home to be with me, I'm depleted emotionally. It even went so far that I would talk badly about my kid's father in front of them.
She's admittedly being narcissistic, toxic, and talking negatively about the children's father. So now somehow that becomes his fault. It's think about what she's saying right now. She's admittedly saying that she's killing his reputation to his own children, and somehow, some way, that is his fault that she's talking negatively about him because they don't necessarily want to be with each other anymore or they don't like each other anymore. But now all of a sudden it's going to become his responsibility because she wants to talk negatively about him to his kids, which is basically damaging the kids. It's not hurting him, it's hurting the kids, which eventually in her mind is probably hurting him. Toxic, bro.
And then I had to make the hardest decision that I really did not want to make.
Crazy.
After sitting and thinking to myself, this is not what I want for me. If I have to continuously allow myself to be damaged in such a way, how much good am I going to be for my kids? And as a single mom, of course, we're looking around to all the women that are around us, whether they're married or maybe they have children and maybe them and their children's father aren't together. But the co-parenting goes well for them. And I never saw myself being a single mom, literally with their father out of the picture.
But you filed for divorce. You filed for divorce. You chose to remove the children from the father's lives. And I'm trying to understand because I know that this always is gonna come back to the men. It's the men fault, men fault, men fault. I always know that how is how it plays out. But what I'm asking and what I'm questioning is, at what point do you take responsibility for how you chose to operate throughout this thing and get in and decide that you wanted to break up the family and be toxic? And what role do you have in playing nice and ultimately building a great relationship for the children with the father?
I never saw this coming.
You
But
seen it
when I
coming, you
tell
planned
you,
it.
I am the happiest I have ever been with him outside of the picture.
So you're the happiest you ever been, but you're the most miserable you ever been. Pick one. Think about what she's saying. She's the happiest that she's ever been, but she's the saddest that she's ever been at the same time when it comes to him.
Are my kids sad about this sometimes? Absolutely. I'm sure they think about it quite often.
But it's about you.
But am I my best self with them? Absolutely. They get a better quality of a mother from me because I'm not being abused. I'm happy. My spiritual relationship with God is amazing. There are a lot of mothers and a lot of single mothers out here that sacrifice the quality of their happiness when it comes to their children
We always use that word abuse so loosely. I mean, you can literally take anything and then make it out to be what you want it to be. We use that word so loosely.
just to have the children's father around. I refuse to be one of them. Now, I don't know what the future may bring. I don't know what that looks like. Maybe someday we will come to a place where we can get along, where I can respect him and he can respect me. And we can co-parent like adults and be the best version of ourselves for our children. But until then, it ain't happening.
Of course, it ain't happening. And this is why men are starting to reject and not participate when it comes to taking women seriously or even putting themselves in a position to have children with women nowadays. And then y'all sitting there saying, we're all of the men at. They around, they chilling, they having a good time, they enjoying their life, but they not putting themselves in a position to have to deal with this nonsense. And a woman being able to choose to remove the children from the father's life as though she should have the choice to be able to do that in the first place is wild to me. What do y'all think? Y'all let me know inside of the comments. Again, make sure y'all tap into the Patreon link is in the description. Make sure y'all let me know inside of the comments. I love you guys. I appreciate y'all. I can't wait to read y'all what y'all have to say about this one.